Hey, what's up? This is Sully from Godsmack. Strap on those boots, baby, because you are now in the trenches of the war room with the one and only Mistress Carrie right here on the Mistress Carrie podcast.
What's up? This is Joe Rogan, and you're listening to Mistress Carrie.
Her hair so lovely, pretty eyes.
Hey, this is Brent from Shinedown, and you're listening to Mistress Carrie. Hey, Carrie, go put your bra on, girl.
Hey, this is Steven Tyler, and you be listening to the baddest bitch in Boston, Mistress Carrie.
What's up? This is Aaron from Stain, and you're listening to Mistress Carrie.
Hi, everybody. This is Dave Grohl from the Foo Fighters, and you're listening to the one, the only Mistress Carrie.
Hey, this is David from the band Disturbed, and you're listening to the baddest bitch in Boston, Mistress Carrie.
Hi, Bruce Dickinson here from Iron Maiden. Yes, indeed, Miss Whiplash herself, Mistress Carrie, is here to unchain your brain.
Hi, this is Flea from the Red Hot Chili Peppers. You're listening to Mistress Carrie.
This is Dennis Leary. You are listening to my favorite, Mistress Carrie.
Hey, this is Corey from Stone Sour, and you have the privilege of listening to Mistress Carrie.
Oh, God. Oh, yeah.
Hey, it's Mistress Carrie, reporting for duty from MCHQ for episode 260 of the Mistress Carrie podcast. And before we get to this week's guest, Josh Todd from Buckcherry, I want to remind you that I'll be at Sheldon's Harley-Davidson in Auburn, Mass. from 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. coming up this Saturday, May 31st. Come hang out, win prizes, and take advantage of the great deals and financing. That's Sheldon's Harley-Davidson in Auburn, Mass. this Saturday, May 31st from 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. Get more details on the concert calendar at mistresscarrie.com. My guest this week is Josh Todd, the lead singer from Buckcherry, making his third appearance on the podcast. He took some time out of the band's touring schedule in Nova Scotia, out on the road with Steel Panther, to sit down and talk about the band's upcoming new 11th studio album, Roar Like Thunder, that's coming out on June 13th. You can also see the band, their only stop in New England, on the Mohegan Sun Patio coming up June 14th. Get your tickets right now. Check the link in the show notes of this episode. I absolutely love having Josh on the show, and this upcoming new album rocks. So allow me to reintroduce you to Josh Todd from Buckcherry. Mr. Josh Todd from Buckcherry, welcome back to the show.
What's happening? Thanks for having me.
It's so good to see you. How are you?
Yeah, it's nice to see you. I'm good, thanks. We're out here on the Roar Like Thunder tour. We're out with Steel Panther right now. We've just done a crazy tour up here in Canada. We got about 5 more shows and then we're out of Canada.
Yeah, nothing good can happen when Buckcherry and Steel Panther are touring together.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun. There's been a lot of sold out shows and just, they're very nice people. We get along really well and it's just, it's been cool. Good package.
A lot of people don't understand exactly what amazing players those guys are because of all of the spandex and whatever, but those guys are unbelievable musicians and hilarious.
Yeah, they are. And they're very nice guys. Funny.
Where in Canada are you right now?
I'm in Halifax, Nova Scotia. I'm like way east. I'm so far east. I'm, in Atlantic time zone, whatever that is. I'm in the Atlantic Ocean. Yeah, it's crazy. We're 1 hour ahead of New York, so that's how far east we are.
I went there on a motorcycle trip years ago. We took the bikes on the ferry. And we went up and did the Cabot Trail. We had to read paper maps because our cell phones and the GPS on the bikes didn't even work. We were out there.
Yeah. Did you see any moose or anything like that out here?
We had to stop in the middle of the day on the quote unquote highway because there was a mama and a baby moose just standing in the middle of the road at 11 a.m. And everybody warned us when you get there on the bikes and you go through customs, they warn you, don't ride after dark because there's so many giant things running around and they're not used to seeing vehicles a lot of the time. And they're obviously stay away from the wildlife. So we see this giant just standing in the middle of the road, Josh, with the baby. We shut the bikes down and we sat there for probably 25 minutes until she felt like moving.
But what an amazing thing to witness, that's beautiful.
It was so big. I couldn't believe we were that
They're
close.
huge.
And it was huge.
Yeah, and you don't want to mess with them when they got the babies next to them.
We just sat there. We were super quiet, and we were just like, I can't believe this is happening right now. This is crazy.
Yeah, that's cool. It's really neat. I've seen some giant rabbits out here, like huge rabbits. Like they're as big as like a mid-sized dog, you know. It's crazy.
Yeah, the wildlife up there is something different. And they're not used to seeing, like, Halifax is the big city. You get up into the Cabot Trail, you go up north, they're not used to seeing a lot of people. So the animals are like, oh no, you're in my territory.
That's right. That's right. We played really remote places out here. We've done shows where they put up stages in fields and seen moose, and it's just it's really beautiful. I love animals, so like when you see like a really majestic, you know, animal in the wild, you know, it's really neat.
Well, you guys had to kind of revamp your whole year because you were supposed to open for the Scorpions in Vegas on their residency, and they postponed all of the dates. Can you imagine celebrating a 60th anniversary? That's just so insane.
It's crazy. And you know, they're still great, and we can't wait to get those off. I think that's happening now in August, and yeah, things happen, you know. But it all worked out. We kind of moved our schedule around, and we picked up a show with Alice Cooper at that time in Arizona. That was a lot of fun. It was for the NHRA race up there, so that was cool.
The guys in the Scorpions are also working on their biopic about their lives. And I read a quote that Klaus Meine said that they were looking for 5 Brad Pitts to play the guys in the band. If you were going to have the Buckcherry biopic, because there's a lot of them being made right now, who plays Josh Todd?
Wow. Well, you know, it probably wouldn't be till way down the line. I'd probably have my son do it. You know, he looks a lot like me, so. He's a very, very talented kid.
A lot of those musical and kind of art talented genes, they run in the family. So obviously you've passed them on.
I mean, we do okay. You know, my son is a trip. You know, he's 16 and he's taller than me. He's 6'1", and you know, very skinny. And he's just we spend a lot of time together when I'm at home. You know, we go surfing a lot and skateboarding, and you know, you name it, we're always together.
Last time I talked to you, which I can't believe was literally almost 2 years ago to the day, you were talking a lot about tennis. Like, are you still playing tennis?
Yeah. I play tennis. Like, I got my rackets out here. I play on all my days off, and I pick up matches. And if people are listening, and if you're a 4-0 player, male player, and you ever want to play me, you know, in a match, you know, all my days off, I'm always playing.
Well, are you afraid to play the girls, Josh? Are you afraid to get your ass beat by a badass bitch?
No, not at all. But I mean, you know, just that's just what I've, you know, been playing.
I used to play when I was a kid, and it is such a grueling sport. I think when people watch it on TV, they don't understand exactly how physically challenging tennis is.
No, it's physically and mentally challenging. It's a chess game. It's a lot goes into it. That's why I love it so much, because when I'm doing it, I can't think of anything else but the game, you know, and I need that, you know, I need to get away from family and bills and life and business and music, and it all goes out the window when I step on court.
I love the fact that you use tennis for that, and a lot of us use you for that.
That's good. That's good, yeah.
The new album comes out on June 13th. And when I read it, I knew that it was your 11th album, but there was something about reading it and writing. I was like, 11 albums?
Yeah, it's crazy.
It's crazy.
11, and it's really great. You know, the last record was great. The record before that, you know, Hellbound Volume 10, and this one, we're on a roll. And, you know, we really focused on making a rocking record, no ballads, no covers on this record, and it's a lot of fun.
You worked again with Marty Fredrickson, one of the Four Horsemen.
Yeah.
I've had 2 of the Four Horsemen on the show so far, but not Marty yet. And you work with him a lot. Talk to me about how special your relationship is with him.
You got to get him on the show. He's got an incredible history of artists he's worked with. You know, he's a very talented guy.
I've met him at Sienna Studios, which is where you recorded the record, which is beautiful, but I've never had him on the show.
Yeah, he's a great guy. It goes all the way back to 2005, when we met him and we co-wrote Sorry together, and then we did Black Butterfly together, and it's been a long relationship. And like, now when we get together, he's like the sixth band member, it's like me and Stevie and him write all the songs, and I've learned so much from him, and we have a lot of fun together, and we write really fast, and the cool thing is there's no egos. Everybody does what's best for the song, and that's why we're putting out really great records.
They sent me an advance copy of it, and when I listened to it, I think the first thing that I noticed is Stevie's riffs. Like, this record is just insane guitar riffs. Not that they weren't before, but that was the first thing that jumped out at me about this one.
Yeah, and he's really got a lot of them in his bag of tricks, and I really work on pulling them out of him a lot, because I always tell him, like, I want those guitar riffs where it makes me have to work harder, because the song already sounds great without any lyrics or vocals, because the guitar hooks are so great, and those signature guitar riffs where when you hear it, you're like, that's the song. Angus has a shitload of them, and now I think the really quintessential, like, Stevie riffs are like songs like Talking About Sex and Blackout. Those are really in his, funk wheelhouse. And then, like Come On is great as well, like stuff like that. He's really good at it.
I read something about how you guys just wanted to get back to like the fun of rock and roll. And so you're talking about not having a cover on the record, not having a ballad on the record. Was that just the mindset that, like, coming out of all of the craziness of like the last 5 years, that you wanted to like bring fun back to rock and roll again?
It wasn't just that. It's just that we have a lot of them. We have a lot of ballads. We don't need to write another one for a second, not that we don't like them, it's just we got a lot of that. That was kind of the only stipulation we put on ourselves, and we've done a lot of cover songs over the years. So, that was it. We just wanted to rock. And I don't know if it was because of the last 5 years. Didn't really think about it that way, but I think it's because those are the songs that people that love Buckcherry really, really enjoy.
You mentioned Angus. I just went and saw AC/DC last week on the Power Up tour.
Oh, really? How were they?
They were great. And
yeah,
the thing that got me the most, I mean, Angus is 70, I mean,
it's crazy.
The thing that got me the most is that, like, Brian Johnson's 77, and those guys looked like they were having so much fun.
Of course. I mean, because at this point, like, that's where I'm at with my career too. I'm starting to have a lot of fun because now we just been through all the stuff, you know what I mean? And now it's just like, you know who you are, you know how to do this and what makes it special. And so now it's just about having fun, and there's nothing to prove. You're not in the rat race of, trying to get a hit single on the radio and all that kind of stuff, It's just about being you. And those guys they're just about being them. They know who they are, and they go out there and just have a blast. And they're super humble guys and very sweet. And like playing with them, we did 5 shows with them on the Time Bomb tour, was a dream come true. It was the best rock and roll experience of my life.
You bring up just being able to be you. As I've gotten older, a lot of people told me, don't fear getting older, because there's going to come this kind of liberation to it where you stop worrying about what other people think about you, and you just start having fun. And it sounds like that's what you're talking about, that you're just like, you know what? I'm at this age. I got nothing to prove to anybody. I'm just doing my thing.
Exactly. We've proved it. It's not like, we know what makes it work, what doesn't make it work, what's special, what's not special, about it. And that's it. And it makes everything better. It makes this whole process better.
Being a parent, how do you instill that in the kids, that like, no, getting older is actually better? Because it is something that you have to kind of learn and experience on your own, because for so long we just fear getting old.
Yeah. Now, teenagers, they think they know it all, so you can't really talk too much to them because they think you're just an idiot. And you know what I mean? My kids just think I'm their dad. It doesn't matter that I sing in Buckcherry or anything about that, they're still teenagers and they know it all and all that. So you can't really tell them about that, although they want to grow up real fast, but it's a delicate process when they're in that space. They're trying, there becomes this, you know what it's like when you're growing up, it becomes a time where, intuitively you want to leave the nest, you want to be independent of your parents, you want to have your own life and your own thoughts and your own things, and that's where they're at, it's just the natural cycle of life.
I just talked to Wolfgang Van Halen recently, and I asked him, was there ever a time growing up that you were like, man, I wish my dad was just a plumber?
I'm sure.
Having your dad be a rock star is amazing, but at the same time, it's just every band member I've talked to with kids is like, they're just as embarrassed of us as anybody.
Yeah, I mean, his dad's on a whole different level than me, so Jack doesn't, my son's name is Jack. He doesn't really experience it at that level until it's more when we get outside of California, when we're traveling. I get recognized a lot more than when I'm in Cali, because it's a different thing. When you're in Los Angeles, it's the entertainment capital of the world. No one knows, no one cares, But so that's the only time when my kids are really like, "Wow, Dad, like, how'd you know that person?" I go, "Well, they like Buckcherry, that's how I know them. They just like the band, and then but they don't, still they don't give a shit."
I read the story about you talking about selling your soul to rock and roll and the first time that you played that house party that you kind of realized. So I want you to tell me, was that the first time you ever played with the band?
Well, you got to understand, it was the first time I played live with this band. There was only one, we only had one band at my high school, and I was in it, and we called our band Natural Black at the time. That was the name of the band. And we did like covers and originals. And we were too young to play clubs, so we played house parties. And so, anyways, you get somebody's older brother or sister. We'd pool our money together. We'd buy a keg of beer, and put it in the backyard. We got everybody to come through the backyard. I'll never forget it. We set up the garage as like the backstage area. We put the equipment in the living room. Took all the fucking ceiling. There was a ceiling fan there, I remember, and we took all the blades off of it so it wouldn't get wrecked. And because we knew it was going to be crazy, because we knew our high school and how everybody parties. And anyways, the first song I sang was "Rock and Roll" by Led Zeppelin. It was packed, and there was a fight in the audience, like with it was just madness. Everybody was so drunk, and there was a fight. I remember that, and we went into like, should I stay or should I go? And then we did some of our own stuff, and it was bananas. And then the cops came in and started breaking up the whole party, and I was like, that was fucking amazing, like, you know what I mean? And all of a sudden, girls noticed us more. Like, we go to school the next day, and we were the band. We were the only band. So it was pretty cool. And all I wanted was more.
It is amazing when you look back at some of the stuff we got away with back then, with no internet and cell phones to get us in trouble.
Yeah.
That kids could never get away with now. There's too many cameras around.
Oh man, you couldn't even, I mean, you let somebody know about a party, it'd be all over Facebook. It'd be like broken up in a fucking half hour,
It was so much better when we were kids. It really was. There were no
It was.
witnesses.
It was. And I hate to say that to people because it makes you seem old and out of touch and all that, but like, it was way better. I don't know what all this being connected throughout the fucking world is doing to us. I think I've never noticed like more like racism and craziness and horrible shit and people being separated from one another and hate and all the stuff that comes along with it. It's just not, I don't know. It's weird. It's a bad look for the human race, for sure.
It's so much better to be there in person, which is why I think concerts are so important, because we go there and everybody's there for the exact same reason. We're there because we love the band and we want to have a good time.
Yeah, and that's it. You're not spending your time checking out, while you're present, you're in some other place, on your phone or whatever. It was just different. And I'm glad I got to experience that.
Back when the band was starting, I'm assuming at one point or another you guys played CBGBs, right?
We did. We played it before it closed. Yeah, it was amazing.
They just
That was
announced like a CBGB's festival in September.
Oh, yeah?
To kind of bring like punk legends and like newer artists together. For anybody that is growing up that just has heard about the legendary CBGBs, what was it like really for you to play there?
It was just a dive club, really. I mean, it wasn't like once you got there, you're like, this is it. It was pretty small and, but I mean, it didn't matter. It was like, that's where I saw I didn't see them at CBGB's, but like there was a place called Fender's Ballroom in Long Beach. It was a little bigger than CBGB's, but I saw all my first live shows at clubs. They were all ages punk rock shows, so going to CBGB's was like amazing, and we played it and that was that. But, just being there was like incredible, it didn't matter that it was small or, all the things you gripe about as a musician when you get into a venue and it's not quite to your liking and the stage, isn't that big or whatever, the stuff that we get upset about. But, it was packed. I remember that. I think it was sold out and it was just bananas. The energy in there was electrifying.
We're in the middle of festival season right now. And I think when Buckcherry was coming up, we were always hoping that the U.S., like Europe and South America, would have legendary festivals. We had the Woodstocks, obviously, that everybody knows about. But now the U.S. festivals are amazing.
Yeah.
So
for sure.
You guys have played a lot of them over the years. What was your favorite festival experience as a fan versus as a performer?
As a fan, festival experience.
Yeah, like being there as a performer, but watching other bands.
Yeah. I would have to be Woodstock 99. We were there the first day and we got out of there the first day because we had another show somewhere else. So we missed all the dark side of Woodstock 99. But when we were there, it was amazing. We went on pretty early because we were pretty new on the scene, and we played in front of like, I think by the time we hit the stage, there was about 30,000 people there. It was nuts. And James Brown was there and I love James Brown. And so, I go, I gotta get a picture with James Brown. He's right there, and like one of his people was with him, and was like just whispered in his ear, and he's like, ugh. And she whispered in his ear, and he's like, yeah, okay, and pulls me in, and I'm like, wow, my smile was like ear to ear, and I took a picture with James Brown, and I was like, that is amazing. Like I couldn't even talk, and he didn't want to talk to me anyways. And then that was it. And, but it was like, that was definitely a moment for me. And, just the whole thing as a fan, when we got there, we were at a hotel and all the artists were at the same hotel. So like, I just remember one of the guys from the Humpty guy from Digital Underground. He was like, I don't know what his name is. I don't know if his name is Humpty Hump or whatever, but like
him without the glasses on.
He was the sweetest guy, and he was down there just playing piano, and I just hung out with him, and he was like really nice and just played piano, and everybody was like rolling around, drinking, hanging out, talking. It was really cool. Like all the big band, the Korn guys and Limp Bizkit, all those guys were in the lobby, and it was just pretty neat to be a part of that whole mix, because we were very new on the scene. Our first record dropped in 99. So, it was pretty cool for us.
I was in the crowd watching you guys at Woodstock 99. I was one of the 30,000. Yes, I was there.
Let's go.
It was so fun. And because I went to 94, I was way more prepared for all of the hell that broke loose. In 94, it was obviously rain and mud. In 99, it was sun and heat and whatever. But I didn't realize till I saw those documentaries later how awful it was for other people because we were prepared. So we had a blast. And now when I tell people, oh my God, Woodstock 99 was so fun, they kind of look at you like, really?
They're like, no, it wasn't. I saw it. It was like creepy, you know? Yeah, my daughter goes, oh my God, Dad, did you see the Woodstock 99 documentary on Netflix? And I'm like, no, should I? And she's like, yeah, you got to see it. It's crazy. And I go, okay. You know, of course we weren't featured in it. Everybody else was but us. But I go, you know, honey, I was there the first night and then we left. You know, I didn't know all that was going on. It's crazy, you know.
I got to ask you because obviously this summer, rock and roll and heavy metal says goodbye in a way to Black Sabbath and Ozzy. And so all the bands I've been talking to, I've just been asking because it's impossible for you to be in a rock or metal band and to not be influenced in some way, shape, or form by Ozzy and Sabbath. So what do Ozzy and Sabbath mean to you?
I'll never forget the first time I heard Sabbath. You know, like I was a late bloomer to the whole rock and roll game because, you know, until I was like about 16, 17, I had listened only to like independent punk rock records as far as the rock genre was for me. I grew up in Orange County, California. I was surfing and skateboarding, and that's what was, you know, that's what I was into, you know. So I had some surfing buddies that liked Black Sabbath, but I knew nothing about them. So cut to I surf all afternoon with my buddy. His name was Clint, and he had a fucking bug, right? A VW bug.
Of course he did.
Yeah, the thing was just a little shit box, but the only thing that he did put money into was the fucking stereo, right? So there were these two giant speakers in the back where, you know, behind the back seats. And I was in the back, of course. We smoked a joint after the fucking surf session. So I am high as fuck. And I'm just sitting there. And we start driving out of there. And fucking War Pigs, he puts on War Pigs. And I mean, and it was loud. And I am fucked up, right? And I'm like, whoa, man, who the fuck is this, man? And I just remember I just kind of melted into that song and I was just an instant fan. And then, you know, I got into Sabbath and, you know, all of it. So what it means to me, I mean, they're fucking amazing, you know? I mean, there's so many great songs and I got really fucked up to all that shit and had a good time.
I love that it was in a VW Bug because there were very few people in New England because those cars are just not great in the snow. But of course you were surfing and got into a VW Bug in Orange County, California.
Of course.
Like, of course you did.
I mean, everybody in Cali had VW buses or bugs, and they fucking, you know, because the engines were like little go-kart engines. You could work on them and repair them, and they were very easy to fix. And if you were a broke fucking, you know, high schooler, you know, they're the best cars.
Please tell me that if you ever write the Josh Todd biopic, that scene is going in there.
Oh, fuck yeah. I got a lot of good scenes. Believe me. You know, it's funny. It's funny. My son is really into the new VW buses, you know, the ones that are the electric, you know, ones. And I'm like, Jack, you know, I go, you know, we used to have those. He loves surfing too, you know. So I go, let's get you like an old VW bus so you can like work on the engine. And he goes, I don't want one of those, Dad. I want one of the new ones. I go, well, you have to wait for a while on that, you know.
I just want to plug it into the house, Dad. I don't want to have to stop and get gas.
He doesn't. It's not the electric thing. He just wants, you know, the new version. Yeah.
They've worked out all the kinks by then.
Yeah, they are pretty cool looking.
My parents had one of those old, it was my grandfather's. It was a 63 3-on-the-tree Ford van.
Oh, nice.
And my grandfather used to drive me around in it, and they had a bamboo pole for a curtain rod. And when I was a kid, I was like, why do you need a curtain in a van? And now I know why my parents needed a curtain in the van.
Yeah. Yeah, they got to get down.
Roar Like Thunder is coming out on June 13th. You're out with Steel Panther. You're going to make up the shows in Vegas with the Scorpions. What else is going on with Buckcherry for the rest of the year?
It's so much. Just, you know, like we do, a lot of touring. We're working on Europe too, all that kind of stuff, and getting worldwide. And we're about to drop "Set It Free." The video comes out tomorrow, so it's a really great song. So if you pre-order the record "Roar Like Thunder" right now, you get "Roar Like Thunder" and "Come On" and "Set It Free" starting tomorrow. So pre-order the record. It comes out June 13th, and it's so great.
Yeah, the album is great, and it's like I said, like as soon as you hit play, Stevie's guitars, and it's just like all of the fun of rock and roll. It's kind of, I don't want to say retro in a way, but like it just has this wall of yes that comes out of the speakers. As soon as I heard it, I was like, oh yeah, these guys are firing on all cylinders with this one.
Yeah, it's a good driving record, like put it on and go drive your car for good, go take a road trip. You'll love it.
It was so good to see you.
Yeah, good to see you.
I can't wait until you guys get back up here because I want to hear these songs live.
Yeah, come rock out. We just mixed a live version of it from a live version of "Roar Like Thunder," the song from where the heck were we? Somewhere in Canada, Saskatoon. Yeah, so we're gonna drop that pretty soon.
Well, tell Stevie and everybody that I said hi and congratulations on the record. I know it's going to be huge for you guys.
I will.
It was good to see you.
Thank you. Nice seeing you.
There he is, Josh Todd from Buckcherry. The band's 11th studio album, Roar Like Thunder, comes out on June 13th. See him on June 14th on the Sun Patio at the Mohegan Sun Casino. You can get tickets, just check the link in the show notes. While you're there, you'll also find the links to the 2 other appearances Josh made on the Mistress Carrie podcast and the link to this episode's corresponding playlist. I make a playlist for every full-length episode of the Mistress Carrie podcast that features all of my guest music and all the artists and songs that we referenced in the interview. You'll also find Josh's links, the Buckcherry links, and of course, the Mistress Carrie links. If you liked what you heard, don't forget to like, follow, share, comment, and subscribe to the Mistress Carrie podcast. New full-length episodes come out every Wednesday, plus every weekday you get the Sit Rep. The Situation Report breaks down all of your rock news, music headlines, and entertainment updates in about 5 minutes. And you never know when we're going to release a bonus episode. Join me live every Tuesday night at 8:30 Eastern for my weekly streaming video show, Cocktails in the War Room, on Facebook, Instagram, Twitch, and YouTube. And you can always find me on the radio. Get the details on all of that and more at mistresscarrie.com. The Mistress Carrie Podcast, a proud member of the Pantheon Podcast Network.